Hey Forza heads, back for another quick tune video. So probably be a little bit quicker than the last one because the lobbies aren't open to test it yet. I mean, probably stick it in a test drive quickly just to show you a lap and see what you can do. But one of the members has asked just to tune a Z9069 for the C-Class lobbies, which starts tonight, about 2.5 hours. So I'm just going to quickly put one together and show you what I'd do if I was going through the process. So I'm generally not bothered about restarting tunes. So Aero, let's go body conversion. We're going to make it wide bodied. We'll have this one. I'm going to go, so I do prefer this little rear wing here, but we're going to go with the full one first, see what we get. So transmission full, driveline full, wheels will leave, tyres full. We're going to leave them at 175 for now, but stagger them. So we've got a 30mm difference between the front and the back. Brakes, we're going to leave. We're only in C-Class. Springs and dampers, roll bars, race, weight reduction, full. Chassis we're not going to take. I've said this in another video, but like the weight of this is like carrying a passenger around. So we're not going to use this. Oh, where's it? There's the weight. So you've got 101 pounds there. You know, 50 kilos. It's a lot of weight to be carrying around in a car if you're racing against people. You know, because the lack of weight is key. It's going to make your handling better, your braking better, your acceleration better. You know, so if you put this on, I believe you're just at disadvantage. You might want to put them on, but I prefer not to, so we're not going to have them on. Now, that's basically where we're at for hand and what we've got. So we've got 3.8. I think that's enough. We'll try it, see if we can squeeze some power onto it, just to make it compete a bit more with the MX-5s and the likes. So I'm just looking through engine swap. Try an S2000 engine. I presume that's some sort of type of thing. S2000 engine might be. So that engine, if I put this engine on, sorry, I'm just doing this blind, so I'm just thinking at the same time. If I put this engine on, let's just compare it to what we've got, because we're at 516, so it takes us over. So I would have to add ballast. So power to weight of 130. Which is nice and high for this class, I reckon. So we'll swap the engine back and we'll see what we can do for engine power. So everything looks like it's at level 1 apart from the carburetor. So we go up 1, up 1, up 1, we'll go up 2. That's everything at level 2 there. Oh look, everything at level 2. And there or thereabouts with there, with power to weight of only 116. Less torque, less power, but obviously the other engine's got more power. So with the standard engine hour it is, we're at 14.6 and we get 14.1 quarter mile. But obviously that would take us over, so what we'll do is we'll put it on quickly and then we'll add some heavy wheels. Best way to add ballast first, although it hasn't done anything. Add some ballast. Where's that taking us? 121. We've still got a better power to weight ratio. What's the acceleration now? 14.4. 14.1, what was it, 14.6, there's 2 tenths quicker. Right, well we'll give this way a try quickly. We'll try a couple of ways. That way you get to see a couple of variants and you know what we're doing here. The tune will stay very much the same. Might tweak a little bit once we test drive it, but it's going to stay very much the same. So down in this class I'm going to run a lower tyre pressure. I run low tyre pressures anyway, so if you see my other videos you'll know that. You can do a test yourself, you know, drive around on 20 psi, 30 psi and 40 psi and see where you get with lap times. Try it on a non-dynamic track though, it doesn't get better and better over time, otherwise your track improvement could be down to the rubber. So we're going to tune this for C class, so I'm going to say 35 mile an hour. Try 35 mile an hour, 55 mile an hour, and go 75 mile an hour, 100, and then we'll go 115 and 130. We should be there or thereabouts. We can now look at the graph on the left and just edge back to just spread the difference between third and fourth and second. So we'll just give it a bit better graduation between the gears. So camber 2.0, 1.5. It's generally the camber I run for this type of setup. So toe 0, 0 is a good place to start if you're towing your own car. If you get a car from Forza and it's already tuned with a negative toe, take them off and then test drive the car. Negative toe will slow down the action of the rear. Positive toe will speed up the action of the rear. And exactly the same on the front. Slow down the reaction of the front if you go negative, speed up the reaction of the front if you go positive. So you only want to go short clicks. I generally go just -1, -0.1, so 1 click to the right, and then caster I go full up. Other people might say go back, but personally tried it all the way. 6.5 to 7 doesn't make much difference, doesn't make any difference. So roll bars, we're going to leave the fronts on 20. We're going to see how it behaves first. We're going to put it on, we're going to go for 30. So this is oversteer, how we set this up. This would set it up for oversteer. If I wanted to understeer, it's where it was at the beginning. That would be understeery. Now the closer you go together, the closer it goes to, like, obviously neutral there, and then into oversteer territory. The further apart you move these, the more oversteer you'll get. The closer together you get, again, the less oversteer you'll get. So I generally know how much and how the cars behave, so I'm going to try this. It might be a little bit wild at first, might not be, we'll see. So then springs. Now I used to set my springs up with regards to generally the weight balance of the car, but most of the time, even if you think about it, when you're going to throw a car into a bend and rely on, you know, how these springs are going to behave most of the time, because they're the points in which you're going to be struggling. The difference is going to be the car's going to weigh a complete different amount. It's going to be, the biases and the masses have already started to shift around. So generally I set it up for just handling, or the characteristics of helping my handling. So I'll set this up at 500 at the moment. Generally I'm a little bit below half, so you can go higher. We can go a little bit higher with this because this car does actually suffer a little bit of bounce. So what we'll do is we'll go 575 and then we'll drop down 25 for the rear. Now by having a softer rear, it just helps catch it. It just helps catch it when you throw a car into a bend a bit more aggressively, which is how I sort of set my cars up, to be a little bit more aggressive. I mean, if you see this tune and you try it yourself and for your driving style it turns out to be a little bit aggressive, then once you've set it, just go back to the roll bars and just bring these closer together. Either soften the rear or just stiffen the front, and that will just help you a little bit. Or you can adjust aero. If you remove front aero, you'll create a little bit of understeer. If you remove rear aero, you'll create oversteer. The more you remove of the rear, the more oversteer you will create, and the looser it will become when right at the peak of the corner when all the mass is taking hold, so just be aware of that. Damping 4.6, 6.9. Your rebound should be 50% more than your bump stiffness. This is the compression rate of your suspension damper shock absorbers, and this is the, oh sorry I flicked it there, and this is the rebound speed, so it's the way in which it fires back out, you know. So that's the compression, that's the in push of your suspension, this is the out push of your suspension speed. So generally this is set up to plow over curbs and just give it a bit more flexibility when you want to cut corners, and not cut corners but, you know, use the whole of the apex. So geometry, we generally go 2 clicks left, 2 clicks right. Now anti-dive, I've said about setting this up soft in the videos before. This is something I still play with, you know, I still play with, because it's a new element to this game, so you know my tuning will change somewhat. So generally I find at the moment I've been running around with a 25 on the front and a 5 on the rear, and that just helps keep the rear not too soft, enough to get action from it, but not too stiff so it doesn't want to kick you out as soon as you apply the throttle. And the front, again, it just helps it not dip so much when you're braking. You know, just, you know, brake measured. You don't need to brake full on hard. You want to brake hard as soon as you get into your main area braking zone, and then you want to be thinking about laying off and rolling in. Generally, if you practice with the line on, as soon as you start braking, if you see the line start changing orange 2 lengths in front of the car, then lay off the brakes and just let gravity slow the car down, just let the inertia slow the car down, and then you can just dial it back a little bit with the brakes as you go in, just to try and get the front to tuck in, and then you can just apply a bit of throttle and use the slip of the rear end to again get the front back in. So we're going to go full downforce and see how it feels. I'm not generally going to get over 130 mile an hour here, so the full downforce doesn't take too much of an effect. We're going to run a 0 diff and a 70 diff, so that will just allow plenty of slip when you apply the throttle. So you just give it a bit of half throttle, you get a bit of slip point the front end in. The deceleration, this is to control your braking. If you're in a car that twitches under braking, think of a motorbike in MotoGP coming to the corner and the fishtail and the back picking up in the air. This would help control your entrance to a corner, but the more you put this up, the less of a corner you can take. It reduces your turning circle quite considerably. So I want the tightest turning circle I can have, so it's on 0. Most of my cars, because I run a lot of aero, generally don't suffer with wavy rear ends under braking and can get into a corner well enough, especially once you get used to it. So we'll just quickly run